trick. This is so cool. I've been so bored. I've been practicing this. Have a look at this. Oh. Whoa, shit. That's going to hurt tomorrow. There we go. G'day, all you lovely people out there. Who have we got on? We got Jeremy, Anthony, Shane, Scott, Rebecca, Jeff. G'day, Jeff. Jeremy again, Pete, Shane, Dale. Oh, David. Everyone's on. So it should be a good show tonight. We've got Tom and Braden. We're going to talk all things that we couldn't talk about in, what were we, way back in episode 8. So we've got the boys on and we're going to talk about all the Diawa products. But before I do, I've got to give away a prize, and the prize is for the Pay It Forward campaign. The first Cod Pack winner is Riley Weiss, nominated by Howard Althos. So, Howard, if you're on tonight, or Riley, you're on, please get me your details. You're the winner of the Cod Pack, which had the soft plastic cod lures. We had 3 of those in that pack. We had the little surface walker. We had a glide bait and a ballista hard body. So that's all yours there, Riley. I believe Riley makes his own lures, so hopefully he gets to use those. The next pack out for next week's show will be a gangster pack, which is on the Facebook page, but it's a full set of gangster lures donated, obviously, by Gangster Lures. So that's for the Pay It Forward campaign. So, you know, I need you to start nominating some people for these so we can give them away. It is free, so nominate whoever you think is deserving of that pack. What else? I've got a couple more shout-outs. The Central Victorian Lure Casters, we need to make sure that we're supporting these guys. They're doing it tough down there in Victoria and can't run any comps for this year, but still trying to raffle off their boat. So it's $5 a ticket. Jump on the Central Victorian Lure Casters Facebook page and buy a couple of tickets for the boat. And also, they've got a virtual comp running at the moment. So if you jump on their Facebook page, all you got to do is enter and pay your money, and they've got fish finders and stuff like that to give away as well. So they've got all their prizes from this year that have been donated. They're trying to give away. So jump onto their Facebook page and have a look at that. G'day, Nick. G'day, Salty again. All right, let's bring them on. Let's bring the boys on and have a bit of a chat. G'day, gentlemen. How are we tonight?
Good, mate.
Hello.
How are you?
Let's get a good view. There we go. I think that's a better view. It's been a while since we've had you guys on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you. I think, Braden, we had you and Mick Johnson on together.
Yes, that was correct. Yes, I think it was the week before Tom, maybe.
Yep, and then we had Tommy and Pete Phelps on. So I thought it'd be easy this week and cheat a little bit because I was under the impression you guys were still living together. But it turned out that you've just moved out, Braden, with your lovely partner, and we've gone to jewel up anyway.
Yep, it works well for me now.
He doesn't have any furniture either because he's sitting on a beanbag.
Yeah, sitting on my beanbag here.
He said he's got the workbench in though, Tom. So that's all good. Hey, listen, guys, I love the work that you guys have been doing behind the scenes. Obviously, last time we couldn't talk a lot about the stuff that you were waiting. Ports were closed and everything, and you were waiting for stuff to come in. But you had your big release, what was it, 3 weeks ago now with all your new products?
Yeah, it was early July, so a little bit longer actually, maybe five weeks ago. But yeah, it was obviously we just missed it last time, but obviously now it's all out. So happy to answer any questions anyone has about any new Diawa stuff and just chat about whatever, really.
So I was on. I watched the release. You did it over three separate events. You had so much gear that you were trying to go through. It was quite well done. What you've put through, but we have a lot of beginners on the show, so all of those guys that are too frightened to ask a question, make sure you ask a question about these guys, because obviously Tom from behind the scenes has developed most of the new product in Australia, and Braden's obviously the guy now that's trying to get all the information out there. So I just want to bring up a screen here. I've got trying to get used to my computer. Now, I want to bring this in here, and Harry's just bought me in a drink. Good on you, mate. This one here. So you've got a lot of old tech tips on your Diawa webpage and on your YouTube channel with some really cool content. I'm not going to play all the tips here, but this one's Simon about what you have to take out in your boat. I thought that's quite appropriate. So all the guys that want to have those little tech tips, there's heaps on your page. There's another one here. Was you, Braden, with your casting techniques?
Yep.
So in future weeks I'll be able to play these. And I've also got another one here, which if I work my computer right. This one is the difference in bait casters, whether it's a barrel bait caster or whatever it is. So for people that are frightened to ask those questions or don't want to get on, jump on the Dial webpage or their YouTube channel and have a look through all these videos. They're all on there. They're free to watch. It gives you heaps and heaps of information.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a fair bit on there. We've got how to tie knots from your basic uni all the way up through your Slim Beauty and also the FG knot as well. Plus, there's, like Corey said, there's casting tips, there's reel maintenance tips. There's a lot for beginners there to get into and have a look at. So,
and it's not so much the beginners. I mean, since I started the show way back, what were we? 30th of the 3rd, I started with the first show, and the amount of information that I've learned from all of my guests and some really great tips and hints and whatnot. So I've been learning just as much as the new guys. So, I think half of the time is when we consider ourselves a little bit better than other people, we forget to ask the appropriate questions. So I've been really enjoying getting this and getting all the information that you guys have been giving as well. So let's have a look. I'm only new to, I'll bring it up on the screen. There we go. Let's do this. I'm only new to the show. Watched about 5 live shows and a couple of older ones. Loved the Mackenzie and Casey episode. My new highlight of the week. Keep up the good work, Corey. So thanks, Fish On. I know you've been on. So there's nothing wrong with sucking up to try and win a prize either. So we can keep them going. Calissa, who's on every week, one of my favourite question askers, will any of your bass lures come out with assist hooks?
Yeah, we actually are bringing out some lures standard out of the pack with assist hooks. Probably not what most people would refer to as a standard bass lure, but during that live show we launched the new in-feet slippery dog lures. So they're little top water pencils, 65 and an 80 mil, which the 80 mil's much more suited to bass, and they come pre-rigged with assist hooks on the rear. So that is something that we're always looking to do. So we've got a couple of other projects in the works at the moment that will come with a bit different hook setup. So always looking to tweak things and tinker with things. And I guess that's one of the I think that's one of the big benefits of having a good group like we do at Diawa. We always have the guys hitting us up saying, oh, this is how I rigged this lure. It'd be great if we could get that out of the package, or giving those little bits of info from people that use them all the time. So,
I've said it before. I mean, the Diawa team themselves, there's hundreds of years of expertise out there, and the guys are obviously giving you feedback, and some of it you take and some of it you don't. But as long as you've got that feedback there, you can say, hey, maybe we should be doing this or doing that or upgrading. It's quite a good wealth of knowledge you can draw on there.
Yeah, and I think it's I'm not an expert in all areas of fishing. I've got my fishing that I like to do and that I've done a lot of. But if someone comes to me that has a lot more experience, I look at someone like Chris Hickson. Why wouldn't you listen to him if he tells you something works better than something else? You'd be mad not to. So
yeah, he's a bit of a freak, Chris. I can remember at the start of the year. No, he didn't even want to come out to the Sinclair round, and I know everyone talked Langers up for winning it, and well done to Langers. But no pre-fish on the Friday. Turns up late Friday night, just rocks out there casually on Saturday and Sunday, and comes second without a pre-fish. I mean, the guy is a bit of a freak.
He certainly knows how to catch fish, that's for sure.
And it doesn't matter sort of what style of fish either. I see on his Facebook page today he was out chasing some reds and stuff. Do you guys know what's the go with his boats? Has he sold the boats or?
He sold his offshore boat and then he sold his motor off his bass cat. So he's waiting for his new one, which might go a little bit faster than his old one, I've been told. So
that's just crazy. And he's probably the only one in Australia that can drive it. So, so anyway, enough on Chris. Let's get on to another question here. Bo Everly, another prime guy on the show that asks a lot of questions. Hey, boys, just got my hands on a drowned cicada 2. What's the best way to rig them and the hook sizes?
Best off rigging them on a weightless offset, like a worm hook. Pretty small because they're a pretty small lure, probably like a number 2, I would suggest. Probably number 2 should be about right. And then basically I pretty much dead stick them, really. So much like Langer's one at St Clair throwing the cicadas at the trees, just throw them at a snag or a tree or whatever you're throwing them at, and just basically leave them there, let the rings dissipate on the water, maybe a couple of little twitches, and then wind it in and go again.
That was amazing. Once again, going back onto Chris, he had some footage there from Sinclair, and I think he turned around and talked to his co-boater or, stuffed around for a good, would have been nearly minute before he got the strike. So
yep, they were real weird that weekend. I was catching them a bit different to most of the guys, but yeah, there was heaps of people saying 40 seconds, minute pauses between twitching a cicada was getting the bite. So
yeah, that's just crazy stuff. And I know Bo's a bit of a river boy and loves river fishing, so he will be on asking questions. Because Braden, I'm going to ask you some definite river questions later on, but I'll just keep flicking through the questions as they come. Somebody's on just to listen to Dale's comments.
I read one of Dale's up there. That was quite good.
Harry's on the ball already. My son's already picked the postcode winner, so I'll announce that now. So it's Paul Langley, 2320, New South Wales without COVID, he wrote on his message. So thanks for rubbing it in, Paul, but you are the winner of the postcode prize for this week. If you could send me your details through to my Facebook page, and I will get that out to you this week. George Matthew, here's a cod question for you guys. What's your favourite setup for your impoundment cod?
I haven't done a heap of it, but I really love the Tatula 732. It's just a good all-round cod rod. It's not a big bait rod by any means. It'll cast about up to 100 grams. So any of your smaller swim baits, but things like mumblers, big spinner baits, it's really good for that. And I just run that with a Tatula 200 HD. That's been my go-to setup when I've done a couple of cod trips with Phelpsy and that.
Yeah. And have you been able to get out and do any cod stuff, Braden?
No, not yet. I know Brett went to Copeton maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago or something. But I haven't had a chance to get out for any cod yet, so yeah,
that's all right.
That definitely will be on the cards, that's for sure. Because
as I've told you 100 times, as soon as COVID's over, you're quite welcome to shoot down the Hume Highway here, and I'll take you out. We'll do a spring thing next year or something like that.
It will be needed, I think. Yes.
All right. We'll get Paul Langley's written here. Will the covered chatters come with smaller hooks like a 2.0? Is it a 2.0 and find the current hook to be quite large?
There is some smaller sizes which we're looking to bring out. The 1/4 ounce has, I believe, a 1.0. It's a smaller hook than the 3/8. I really like that 1/4. I use it a lot in Glenbourne and St Clair down here. So if you've got the 3/8 and you reckon the hook's a little big, definitely try the 1/4s. But to be honest, I have had zero problems with I even use bigger ones than that with bigger hooks, and I don't find any problem with bass getting the hooks on those things. If you're getting short strikes, you can always add a trailer hook as well. So
yeah, that's what I find too. I don't really, hook size isn't a real big deal when they're eating it kind of thing. And if you are having timid bites, just throw a trailer on the back, and that normally stings them through. So
I don't think that if you looked at the hook size of any, whether it's a bassman or a skirted jig or any of those, spinnerbait jigs, they're all probably bigger hooks than what we would normally throw in a soft plastic. For some reason, we just have it seems like people have a thing with soft plastics, and we use little small hooks and then whack on a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait with a 3/0 and cast it at a snag. I don't think the bass really care, to be honest.
No, I think it comes down a lot to where your head's at with it all, and if you're confident or not, and when they're eating it, and sometimes the big hook's good for especially what cover you're throwing it into, a bit more stout, a bit stronger, so you can really muscle them out, especially when they are biting stuff like chatterbaits and spinnerbaits. So
that's a valid point. I mean, we try and think of a million different things as fishermen, and if you're using those lighter gauge hooks, you can straighten them quite easily, don't you?
Yes, very easily.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's go back in and keep looking at these questions. Looks like Mitch is on.
I like Mitch's one. That's what
I saw Mitch's one there. The story behind that is...
I'll bring the question up, and then everyone can see it there. There we go. Tom, can you explain the zoozing and gurup with
zoozing the gurup with guzzle is and it was actually the first time I went to Glenbourne. So when I was still living up in Queensland, this is probably six years ago, maybe more. So it was actually the first time that I'd met or stayed and camped with a lot of those boys. And it was a deep bite in Glenbourne, and that's the only time I hate fishing Glenbourne, is when it's a deep bite.
Yeah.
And obviously Mitch and Pete and all the boys really, really good at that. I cannot catch them to save myself when it's deep there. And they were around the campfire after the pre-fish day. I'd caught bugger all as usual, and they were saying, "Oh no, we caught lots." And I was trying to get a little bit of info for the first time I'd been down there, and like, come on, help me out. What am I looking at? And Mitch said, "Oh, I'm just zoozing the gurup." And I was like, "What the hell is zoozing the gurup mean?" And then they were going on about it for ages, and then I think it was one of the other boys said, "Oh, you have to have the guzzle as well. You have to put the guzzle on when you were zoozing the gurup." And I was like, I just had absolutely no idea what they were going on about. I was just doing my head in, and turns out it just means deep grubbing with gulps. So.
Yeah, look, and people probably don't see Coney has got a very wicked sense of humour, but I think most people just call him the angry little redhead. So he comes across as a big angry guy, but he's quite soft in the middle and very, very funny. So
it's a good time. It's just I think that's really the good thing about the tournaments, isn't it? Like it's not so much about the fishing; it's about the chatting around the campfire and having a good time and just enjoying yourself.
Definitely, and I think that's why I got into it in the first place. After having years away from it and come back to it, and all of the sharing of information and campsites. Like back in the day, you just walk into a campsite and they go, "Oh, you're a Queenslander, don't bother coming and talk to us." If you were in New South Wales, or vice versa, the New South Wales guys would come up. When I managed Boondooma, it used to always be, the fireplace in the middle of just outside the shop there, and all the Queenslanders get down there and make a ruckus, and if a New South Walesman guy, "Oh, piss off, don't talk to us." But now I suppose the boundaries have been broken, and everyone just gets along. It's quite funny to get to see the other side of people that you haven't seen.
Yeah, it's been something I've actually really missed this year. Not having many comps to fish. It's been pretty tough actually. I've been really wanting to go fish a tournament. So. Yeah,
that's right. I remember some of my favourite times, Corey, was you cooking breakfast at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
It was all good for the hangover.
Yeah, and then walk in and get a plate full of food. That was honestly some of the best times, I reckon.
It made it easy, and I know it was hard for us on that week, and we made money out of it, so there's no ifs, buts, or what's about that. But, we just wanted to make it easy on everyone.
Yeah.
You could turn up without your stuff. The pizza oven was a huge hit at Boondooma.
The pizza oven was
Yes.
primo.
Very good pizzas.
Yeah, and we loved it, and young Tyler was always out there cooking the pizzas for us, so I could go fishing and whatnot. So it was all fun from our side, but it was just made it so much easier. As you said, you could turn up with a few beers in the Eskies and not worry about food. That was always good. And Pete did a almost silver service when we went to Glenbourne. You'd go to Glenbourne and you'd be sitting down and you'd have the good cutlery.
If you ask any of the boys, I turn up to comps with absolutely nothing apart from my car and boat. So chairs, tents, swags. No, forget all that. We'll just bring the boat.
Just bring the boat. I know Coney's quite good on the slow cooker as well. He quite often gets the slow cooker out at the comps and cooks for you boys, doesn't he?
He's been sending us pictures of gadgets he's been welding up in his spare time, of camp oven lid holders, which are the most over-engineered thing when you can just use a tent peg. But he's quite proud of them, so I'm looking forward to next.
He's got to do something while he's got nothing to do on the farm. We've got a question, feedback more than anything else here from Pete James. So Pete said, the Diawa Hyper Rod is the best I've used to date for jumping fish like barra and toga. Bring it out in black and will be a better rod.
Doesn't like the grey colour.
Obviously doesn't like the grey colour, but obviously rates the rod very highly. Thanks for your feedback, Pete. That's awesome.
Thanks, Pete.
Timmy, I'm always worried when Timmy asks a question, so I try and read it before it comes up. But this is a legitimate one. I have a few pixies. Do Diawa still produce them, or is there something equivalent?
Pixies haven't been produced for a little while, but they were always based off an Alphas. So pixies were always a sub reel, which was always built off the latest Alphas that's come out. So what you'd find is the older pixies, probably the current equivalent would be the current Alphas SV 70, which is the newer SV version. That SV spool casts really, really well. But in Japan now they've got the Alphas Air as well, which is the super shallow spool. If you've had one of the older pixies with the very, very shallow spool, that would be the current equivalent. But that CT70 you can pick up in any of the Aussie shops these days, and that's a wicked little bass reel.
So tell me about why would you want a shallow spool? What's the point of a shallow spool?
So on the bait cast side of things, it's actually more about total weight. So obviously, for a lot of largemouth fishing, which most of these reels are made for, you only need 20 to 30 meters of line. So there's no point having a huge deep spool and then filling it with line, and that line will obviously have a physical weight to it. So especially for ultra finesse bait cast, which is a big part of the Japanese market, if you can minimize even 1 to 2 grams of reel of weight out of your spool's going to perform better for casting those really light lures. So that's why a lot of the time they'll have just enough line literally for you to have 30 meters of line, which is all that you need to bass never pulls drag. To make the absolute lightest spool possible, which will cast the light lures the best.
Oh, there you go. So you're learning stuff all of the time.
It's probably something that actually we could learn a fair bit of in Australia, because I mean, from a bait cast market here, we have quite a unique market in that we like the compact size of small bait casters, but generally from a sales perspective, you'll always sell a bait caster better if it has a deeper spool.
Yeah, and
people can,
I'm not going to say brands and stuff like that because I'm not on here to compare. But the reels that I'm currently using for my cod stuff, I find that would be ideal for me. Cod, aren't going to take 50 meters of line off you.
No.
But I tend to, every 12 months have to change 300 meters of line. I'm wasting line for this fact because a shallow spool would obviously help that process as well.
Yeah, and I think it's just something that's it's been around forever. Barra fishing, you need 200 meters of line, but in reality, probably 80 meters of decent braid is enough for 95% of the fish that you'll ever hook. Maybe you hook a big GT or something in a river up north, you might need some bit of extra line, but for the most part, not only will you get away with it, you'll save some money because you're not buying huge spools of line, but your reel is actually going to cast better because it will have less weight on the spool.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Good point. I like that. Another question here. Fish on. What's your view on the Tatula 300 bait caster, and what price would you expect to pay in these shops? RRP on that one.
Really, really good reel. We've been flogging it here in the country for maybe the last 18 months. We've had samples around various people. Josh Kopp, that was on the show a little while ago, he's had one for probably 6 months or so. Really, really nice reel. Going to be an awesome reel for the guys that want to throw those big baits and need a bigger reel to match the big swim bait rods. I think I'm just having a look at RRP.
They're 400.
$3.99, yeah. So you'll be able to pick one up, and they actually should be out by the end of this month. So
that's amazing. Like I say it all the time that I can't. Like most people come in and say, "What were you throwing on the day?" And I'm like, "Oh, it was a green lure." You guys are remembering the models and the numbers of your whole product range, so you're doing all right. To be able to pull an RRP out of your bum like that, Braden, that's not too bad.
There's a lot going on, but yeah, it's learning slowly.
I mean, what's your product range at the moment? Do you know a total catalog range? How many products have you got out on the market at the moment? Would it be in the tens of thousands? Have you added it all up?
In our system at work, there's probably close to 18,000 products, but not all of those are. A lot of those would be discontinued old stuff. But
yeah,
I'll let you know. I'll let you know in the very near future, Corey, because I'm doing a new catalogue as we speak. So I'll let you know very soon.
Yeah, Braden will be able to let you know very shortly.
I think we just lost Corey, did we?
I think we've lost Corey. So Corey's gone. So it's our show now, Braden.
It's our show. Oh, what's going on? Hey, Tommy.
I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. I think I was just on here by myself because everyone's saying one day how long it's going to take me to talk. So I'm assuming they can see us.
They can see us. That's all right. We'll just wait till Corey comes back.
Yeah, Corey's just come back in.
I got it.
There he is.
There he is.
I had about 10 people messaging me going on, and they were trying to answer questions. That's all good, but we're back online now.
I thought we were hijacking your show for a bit.
Yeah.
No, as long as you kept everyone entertained. I was talking to myself here thinking I was on air, and somebody said, no, your screen's blank and they're on. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no, I think we're on, yeah.
Well, there you go. I should have been smart enough to like clip to an ad or something like that.
Well.
I'm not that good. Anyway, we'll go back to where we were. I think my questions are still up. So normally when I have to reset, I'll lose all my questions. George, I was talking about sponsored anglers and stuff like that. So send me a message to my Facebook page and I'll try and answer that off air for you, mate. Let's go with Mark Cook here. Questions coming in thick and fast now. Hey, lads, what outfit would you recommend for yellow belly in the medium price bracket?
Kind of probably depends on what, do you want a bait cast or a spin? What sort of lures do you want to throw or anything? But I think it is pretty hard to go past something like a TD Hyper rod with anything from an Excella, spin reel, Tiara, Freems, or a Tatula 100 for a bait caster. I mean, you probably can't beat that sort of combo for the money that you'll pay, probably $300 odd, $350, and you'd have a wicked little setup.
Yeah, I know Mark's a local here at the Albury-Wodonga region and does fish a lot out at Hume. So I'd say in the sense of a yellow belly rod, it'd be masks, blades, stuff like that. So.
Yep, like a 7 foot, 2 to 4 kilo with a 2500, 3000 spin reel. Good, just a good all round. I know that's what Josh and Jacko use a lot for throwing the masks and the Trans Ams in that.
Yep. All right.
What's the Hume fish like?
Depends on who you ask. Look. To me, I've really struggled because it's such a big waterway. I think it's 10 times the size of Glenbrook. And you've got every species you can think of apart from bass. So it's got cod, yellows, browns, rainbows, eel-tailed caddies. So you got every species in there trying to feed on the bait. I know they have a really good spring bite, like most of the dams for the yellows, and a lot of guys get them gulping the trees. And then your schools of reddies and stuff like that are normally out on the flats. And then you go back to sort of the dam wall for the last 50 years since the dam's been in. You just troll Tassie Devils around the dam wall for the trout. So
standard trout lake.
Yeah. So it's sort of up and down. I know it's a hidden little gem with the cod stuff, and I'm so hoping to put a little bit of time in next year and start looking at as a cod fishery. So there are a lot of big cod in there, but nobody really targets them. So I can't work out the yellows and the trout. I might as well try and catch a cod, I suppose. But it is a massive waterway, and I think it's really underrated. I had somebody tell me that they rate the spring bite at Hume better than the Windermere spring bite, and I said, "Oh, how is that possible?" And they said, "Because you catch bigger ones at Hume."
Yeah, right.
So
I remember seeing some pictures you put up, maybe the first time you ever went there.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Holy moly, it's a big body of water."
Yeah, I did a run basically from Bathanga Bridge to the boat ramp where I put in. It took me about 15 minutes flat out at 100 k's an hour, and that was only from my first fishing spot. I mean, Bathanga Bridge is it's just crazy. And it is a very dangerous dam. A lot of these dams up in the high country around Victoria can become very, very dangerous for novices out there. So you've really got to watch the weather. It doesn't take much for Hume to chop up. There was actually a video on Facebook of a guy a couple of weeks ago. I think it was at Dartmouth, was actually surfing the waves coming in on the bank. They were over 3 footers.
Really?
Yeah, it's. You can be absolutely crazy, all those high country ones, so you got to be careful of them. So, all right, Harry's on there talking to everyone. That's good, keeping everyone entertained. Bo's got a question here. We've got, what's the newest thing out that you boys bought out that you got really excited about at the moment?
It's got to be the plastics, probably, doesn't it? it's been over 2 years in the works to bring them out, and I know from pretty much like February this year, I've just been hanging to actually tell people about them. So we finally did that in July. So Bait Junkie is ready to be almost ready to be in all the tackle shops. So from the end of September, you'll start seeing them hit the shops, and I mean that's been a massive effort from everyone at Diawa to bring that together. It's been really awesome.
So tell us about the range, mate. What's in the range? It's not just curly tail grubs. What have you got in the range?
We've got so 6 shapes, and there's 28 colours. So not all the colours are in all the shapes, but we've got everything from obviously the little 2.5-inch grubs, for the brim and the yellow guys. There's a black one, black UV for the yellow guys. Everything up to a 7-inch jet cat. There's 96 different items in the range. So pretty much covers something for everyone.
Yep. So tell us about like obviously you can't give away trade secrets, but the plastics themselves, are they play friendly with other plastics, or are we keeping them separate?
Definitely. So don't mix them with anything that's PVC based. So that's a Kitech, a Power Bait, all of those normal non-stretchy soft plastics. If you put them with things like Z-Mans or snapbacks, anything that's the stretchy elastomer style material, they won't melt or anything, but you will find that the colours
they'll leach across a bit.
If you've ever put 2 Z-Mans, I used to always put a motor oil with a gudgeon and get a motor oil gudgeon.
Yeah.
Those were mixed together. But yeah, we spent a stupid amount of time actually doing the packaging and getting all the clamshells, those top and bottom clams that go together. So I recommend just leave them in the pack.
Just leave them in there. Yeah.
100%.
100%. That's a great question, Bo. So let's hide that one. Ricky's written here, hey guys, I'm a big fan of the Infit rods. Are there any Infit bait cast rods coming out in the new range? If not, what would you recommend for throwing jigs? So I'd take that football jigs.
Yep. The Infeats, there won't be any bait casters there. Predominantly a light tackle kind of deal. So anything like your brim, your whiting, trout, really finesse kind of stuff, and they're kind of built for purpose. I know they're Tommy's babies for the last year and a half or whatever since he's been making them. And there's the 3 different models and 5 or 6 models in each model, I guess. So he can run you through a couple now because I know he'll be itching at the bit to do that.
Sorry, I was just trying to get the actual rod I'd recommend for jigs. This is, so as Braden said, Infeat's kind of...
Let me just bring you up into full screen here. So we can still talk in the... wrong one.
Wrong one.
There we go. Solo there. So we can still talk in the background and hear you.
Yeah.
So you got the full screen so people can see it.
Yeah, so that's one of the Infeats there. So I've got a whole bunch next to me here that I fished with the other day. But Infeat was really designed, to be the finesse spin rod series for, whether you're a brim tournament guy or just really love throwing small lures for brim and estuary perch, whiting, redfin, trout. So we really kind of just aimed it for that part of the market. Not saying that we'll never do a bait caster, but if we did a bait caster in Infeat in the future, it would be geared towards that style of fishing. So it'd be much lighter than what you would normally call a jig rod. So this is my jig rod that I use. This is one of the new TD Blacks that's just about to come out in about a month and a half. So this is actually a 7'1" medium. It's called the Jiggy Smalls, specifically made to throw a skirted jig for bass, or yellows and whatever else eats skirted jigs. So that's my go-to jig rod at the moment. We've got a lot of others. Obviously, we've got the TD Zeros, the Commanders, a little bit higher up in price points. you'll pick up, a TD Black for about $230 when they come out. If your budget can stretch, Commander 7-1 medium Basilisk, it's called. That's I know Phelpsy, that's one of his favourite jig rods, or Braden. He likes the TD0, that 7'2" medium. So we've got a lot of rods now in the range that are catered to that skirted jig fishing. So.
Yep, excellent. Now let's see if I can bring this back on the screen. Look at that. I'm really cranking on the computer tonight, killing it. I almost need a sound engineer and that in the background to work this all for me. So, hey, talking about skirted jigs, you love Tom and Braden. I believe you've been visiting the local waterways in Sydney and around Sydney.
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a heap of success, but we've caught a couple. Still very cold down here. I think I was in the Hawkesbury on Saturday, and it was still 12, 13 degrees. Especially after all this rain, it's running pretty fresh and pretty brown. But managed to get a couple on jigs, which was a surprise and good. So
I think it's just a matter of time before it becomes a go-to technique down here. I mean, it's won how many of the last couple of ABT River qualifiers? Mike Nelson, the Clarence Bandit, has been winning all them. I think it's just a matter of time. I don't think many people have really tried it. Down here, normally it's throw a plastic on a rock wall deep in 20 to 30 foot and catch them, in the eddies. But I don't see if the right time of year, if you could run up the river and throw a jig at a couple of snags, I think you'd definitely catch some fish.
Has it really been a big enough market, though, in the sense of, your saltwater boys are so there's so many more of them, so to speak. So they're going to be out chasing their bream and stuff like that. Does it get fished up that end of the river?
I've barely seen. I mean, me and Braden have fished it now a few times over the last couple of months. I don't think we've seen maybe more than one other fishing boat.
Yeah, that's pretty scarce up there just in general, whether that's just the time of year or what, but there's only really just power boats or wake boats or whatever up there having fun. There's, in the way of fishing, there's not a heap of people, to tell you the truth.
So for somebody that's sort of just getting into their fishing and they want to tap into that's a market or an area in Sydney that that's not really getting bashed at the moment, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, it's probably pretty hard to fish land-based. You do really need a boat or a kayak at least. But it's, I mean, you don't have to go far. Me and Braden got a couple of those jig fish literally 500 metres from the boat ramp. So
yeah, if that. Like we went, like I said earlier when I was talking to you, Corey, Tom and I done a run from Windsor down to one of the ferries at Wiseman's, and it took, it would have taken, I think it was about 45 or 50 minutes. I think all up we did well over 100 Ks for the day, and then we ended up catching fish across from the boat ramp when we come back. So, I mean, and we didn't catch many fish down further. So, yeah, it just shows I don't think you need to go far. It's just throwing the right things and just persisting with it and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've all got good boats and whatnot, and we can travel those distances if we need to. But as you said, for anyone that's got a little tinny and just a little electric on the front, they can putt around as close to the boat ramps and still catch fish, can't they?
That's exactly right. And being in a river scenario as well, they're a lot more opportunistic to bass. So I don't think it particularly worries like a dam where you need to hone in on a certain technique or a certain bait or anything like that. It just kind of, if you get in front of a fish, I think more often than not, you'll probably end up getting it. So, yeah, I don't think it's a real worry in that sense either, which helps a lot. So,
and if we're talking to Hawkesbury, how many boat ramps would be along that have access? So,
heaps.
I mean, you can still pull the boat out and go up to the next one if you wanted to.
That's exactly right. Like, they're just scattered through there, whether you want to put in the salt down further and go up for, EPs and bass, or whether you want to put right up the top and just target bass. It's kind of it's massive, and you can do what you want there, really. So.
Yeah. Look, I've got Shane Eastman's put on here. I have a brother with a steez addictions. Is there anything you can help him with? No, is a simple answer to that. Close mate of mine, here's a good question. Hey, Benny Farrow's asked, hey, fellas, what do you recommend reel-wise for skirted jigs for bass fishing?
Ooh, this is perfect. I have a reel here that we released in the live shows, this is the new HRF PE special. So this is a high speed reel. It's a 8.1 to 1, and it's a low profile 100 size bait casting reel. So it's the same body shape and size as the Steezers that we know now, but it's just got a few upgraded parts on it. It's got the bigger 110 mil handle, the EVA knobs, and it's actually got 150 size spool in it, so you can pack a bit more line on it and whatnot. And it's still got plenty of drag and high enough speed to be able to rip the fish out of the cover. And
yeah, I really like that 8.1, to be honest, for all my jig fishing. That's 8.1. I've used 7s, I've used 9s. Of the two I've got at the moment in rotation is a Steez A in a 8.1, and one of the more than PEs, which is actually like a 8.5, I think it is. But the thing with that more than, it's 8.5, but the handle is, I think, 10 or 20 mil longer than a Steez handle. So probably the time you take to turn the extra little bit, you're probably not getting much more than an 8.1 with a smaller handle.
Yeah. So break that down for the basics. If you've got a standard, if somebody's gone out there and just bought a standard bait caster reel, what ratio would that be?
It'd be probably 6.3, 7.3 I'd say would be standard. This would be, I'd say, hot class as a high speed.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably 6.3, 7.3.
So how much more is it, like centimeters per turn, or how do you work out what the ratio is?
It's just spool diameter. It's just a mathematical calculation. Spool diameter times by whatever your ratio is.
Yep.
And see what your line pickup is in general. I'm just trying to find it now. But
yeah, I'd say like on a spool like that, you're probably looking at, I'd probably say 7 or 8 centimeters. You'd say around the whole thing. So when you put that into perspective, after a cast, it might be down to 6 or 7, and if you're doing that 8 times, you know what I mean. So that's upwards of 60 centimeters or so of line.
So with jig fishing, obviously you want to be able to wind that slack up as quick as you can. So you want the higher ratio reel to make that line take up quicker. Yeah,
like actually one thing I've noticed down here, Corey, like I'm just a user of just standard 6.3, because I feel if I have a 6.3, I can just throw it for anything. You know what I mean? Whether it's a jig or whatever, I just use it as a multitasking tool. And to be honest, down here, I've noticed that the fish, they're a lot different in the way they react to a jig than in Queensland, because they seem to want to always run off with it or run back at you or do this or that, where Queensland fish, they just hit it and they just kind of sit on it and bite it and carry on. But I've just noticed the ones down here, they just want to, as soon as they get it, they're just out of it. And I'll probably be using a lot more of this stuff down here just to stay in contact with your jig more, because I think that's probably the most beneficial thing is knowing what your jig's doing at all times. And that's probably the biggest tip in jig fishing is staying in contact with it. And so I'll probably be using that a lot more, especially down here.
Now, you guys are both pretty good on the jigs. Fluoro or straight through?
I've used both. I mean, at the Open when I was down here last year, I used fluoro, 6 or 1 really. Depends what you're comfortable in. With braid, you can definitely feel more bites. But if you're using lighter line, like I just typically use 10 and 10 when I do use braid. And if you do have a bit more of a broomstick, a heavier rod, you do tend to overswing and snap a couple off in the excitement from what I've found. But especially when they're eating it right down. And it just gets on their lips, but 6 to 1 really depends if you want the stretch. Depends what you want, because with fluoro there's the benefits of just winding the drag up as tight as you can, and you just use the stretch in the line. You know what I mean? And it's kind of whatever kind of suits, I guess. So
yeah, I've played around with both, and I tend to the ease of use just always has me coming back to braid with leader. You don't really need to worry about it at all. Fluoro, if you're really confident in what you're doing and you're really sure of what you can feel through your rod, then by all means go fluoro. It's as Braden said, you can put the drag on lock. It doesn't really matter. I think you do land more fish with fluoro, especially in places like Glenbourne where they're eating it in a tree or around a tree. I think that stretch does definitely help you land more fish.
Yeah.
It is also more work to fish fluoro, like you have to change it out probably a few times a year if you're not using it all the time. And that's the big thing for me. I'd probably fish once a month at best at the moment. So if I spool it with fluoro, I'm changing it every month anyway, because by the time I go to use it again, it's all,
Yeah, the memory on it's quite substantial, and not only that, but when you get birds' nests, they're pretty bad ones. So they're pretty much cut jobs. So it comes down to kind of feel and everything as well. So, but I'm with Tom. I typically always go back to braid when I do have fluoro on reels. So.
Look, I am a KISS sort of guy. Keep it simple, stupid, and I need to stay with what I know. I know I fish a lot with Benny, who asked the question about the reels, and he is through and through, straight through, and
there's definitely benefits in it. Like that's no there's no arguing. There's definitely benefits there, and I feel if you have a good enough rod and that you've got the sensitivity of fluoro down packed, I think it's definitely got its benefits over braid. But as a general use thing, it's
also just harder to find. It's hard to find a good fluoro.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. Especially over here, you've got to import one over, or just choose the very limited that you can find in a tackle shop down here.
Yeah, and I suppose it's gone out of trend and back into trend, and however it's gone. So and we might be able to get some good quality stuff in, from Bass Pro shops or whatever. Matthew Wales has written, what's your favourite snapper outfit? Listen, here we go. We've got the saltwater questions on the freshwater show. So what's your favourite snapper outfit and lure, plastic or jig, or what do you want to use for your snapper, boys?
Yeah. In the small, I used to actually do quite a lot of snapper fishing when I was living at Redland Bay up in Brisbane. Fished Moreton Bay a lot, through plastics for snapper and hard bodies for snapper and all sorts of stuff. But probably since I've worked at Diawa, actually, I've been lucky enough to do quite a few trips over to New Zealand doing product stuff for their market as well. And I have to say, catching big snapper on metal jigs and bay rubber style jigs is pretty awesome fun. On light, little bait cast setups. Catching 10 kilo, 8 kilo snapper has been awesome fun.
What about you, Braden?
Yeah, I'm a plastics guy, but I like to go light because that's just how I've always fished. I always just use 2.5s, 3s for snapper, just because like the ones we used to get up. I used to do a lot of fishing in Bundaberg when I used to live up there where I grew up, and they don't get tremendously big. The 80s might be the max. And I'd always run a 2.5 because back as a young fella, you can use a 2.5 for anything. So it was, and I used to use that and pretty much just a 1/4 ounce or a 3/8, whatever, kind of got down to the bottom, and anywhere from a 3-inch to a 5-inch kind of jerk shad was pretty much doing the damage for me up there. But recently, like what Tom said, the new Koga style lures that we've got, they're just killing. I don't know. They're literally just a ball sinker with a skirt and some assists hanging off it. But I don't know what it is. They're so easy to use. They drop down to the bottom, and I've caught a fair few fish on them down here, Jew, snapper, and that, and they're just too easy to tell you the truth. I've set them up to Dad because they're that easy to use. So.
How do you work them? Are they something that obviously imitates maybe a squid or that sort of thing? Are you actually working them, or are you literally just throwing them out and
slow roll?
Yeah, it's 6 of 1. There's proper techniques, like what Tom was saying, how you can get right into. They make specific rods for it. And I know in our new rods, there's some in the range that are specifically made for them. And I think in Japan they just let them hit the bottom and just slow roll on a bait caster.
Yep.
Back up. But I've just been doing slow hops and nothing too erratic because they are quite heavy. And just some general stuff like that, because the heads actually come apart because the weight pulls down the line, and then because it's got a skirt, it kind of stays up and it kind of trails down. So there's a bit of distance between it. So it's kind of a little thing up there, I guess. And I don't know. They get fish. They're weird, but they get bit. So
what we're saying to Matthew is go out. What were they called? Koga?
Yeah. Kohga.
Yeah. So get yourself in there. And what about what sort of outfit should he be running on those?
Just any general snapper plastics outfit is fine. As Braden said, there is some rods that are specially made for it and stuff, and we we offer that stuff, which is overhead rods, generally 6.5 foot, really soft tips, that sort of thing. But any standard plastic snapper outfit is pretty good and versatile, and you can do throw a plastic 1 minute, drop a Koga or a micro jig or something the next. So they're pretty versatile.
Yep. Got another shout out here, Bo. Bo said, bought myself a TD Soul 2 bait caster the other day for Somerset ABT. Jesus, I'm happy with it. So you're getting the good feedback?
I wish I could have gone to the Somerset
I wish
ABT.
I could have too. It looked like it fished really, really good compared to Wivano, put it that way.
Well, we do. I suppose I should, best mate and all. I should give the shout out to Langers. Yeah, look, he pulled it out of the bag. I was hanging a fair bit of shit on him on Saturday night, and it must have worked because he came out with the what they call it, the Tiger Woods red shirt on the Sunday, and come back with a sixth place and won himself the AOY. But every time I've talked to him, I'm just calling him Asterix. Because that AOY will always have an asterisk beside it. So,
a win's a win, mate.
That's it, and that's what I said to him. His name's on the trophy, so he can never be taken off. But that's my new nickname for Langers is asterisk. So well done to asterisk. Well done to Langers, and well done to Al Price and
John Sancio.
John Sancio, who won it. Yeah, for winning. I was going to get to John, but the AOY for the co-boaters, which hasn't been announced on any of the programs yet, Al Price and the young fella from Toowoomba, Brody McNeish.
Yep.
Yeah, so they drew, and on the countback, Brody won it. So Al's still cranking along. Good drinking partner of mine from down in New South Wales is still cranking along and almost winning an AOY. So well done to Al as well. And, of course, Johnny for his breakout win. So that's all. So there's been a few Somerset questions, and Shane Eastman's asked me how many raptor jigs that I ordered. I actually didn't order any, Shane, because I can't go fishing. So I'll wait. Jordan,
it looked like it's the only Somerset comp that I haven't been to for a while, and it's the only one that fished any good. So
yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, it's been a while for me. I think it was the last Megabucks was the last time I went to Somerset for a comp and it actually fished well.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a comp at Somerset and it fished well.
Yeah,
it's always kind of been, from when I've been there, it's been, like a hot session and then it's just shut down afterwards or something like that. But it's funny because I think I was saying to one of the boys when the comp was kind of on the Friday, I think for the pre-fish, I said to him, I've just noticed how many more in like the last week since before the ABT, how many fish I've seen from Somerset being caught out of there. It just kind of just turned on like a switch that week and a half before. And there was nothing on it and it was quiet. And then all these fish just started popping up on socials and that. And it's good that it actually fished well for a comp. So
yeah, look, and it is a dam. What was it? 3.81 kilos was the biggest fish for the weekend. I mean, that's a whole weekend for me at Glenbourne.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
That's at Glenbourne at the moment. That's a bag of 4 good ones. Actually.
Yeah. So and that was a Cowie that caught that. Troy, I can't remember who caught it, but that's a monster of a fish. As I said, the last time I seen Somerset fish well in a comp was the last Megabucks ABT held. I think we come third for the Megabucks, but like Simo and Can of Tomatoes went out there and absolutely brained it, and they averaged 2.6 kilos for their fish or something like that. So that was an average.
Good fish.
Yeah, it was just remarkable.
I think I looked at the latest family bassin results from last weekend, and I think that would have won every session, that one fish.
Yeah. Dale Sinclair reckons Somerset is the most fished lake in Queensland. Yeah, but that's
worth it though when you get them. That's the thing. Like I've had sessions out there. I don't know why, because I used to only live an hour from it, and you'd go out there one weekend and catch like 2 or 3 little dinks, and then next weekend you'd go out there and catch like you just could not catch a 50. You know what I mean? Like they're just coming in over everywhere, and then You know what I mean? It's hot and cold, but when it's on, and it's definitely worth it when you do get them. So
Yeah. No, and as I said, if you can get out there and fish it, it's just insane when it is on. Bo Everly's put there. Graham Ford got a 7 kilo bag for the day, so he was unlucky. He could have won the AOI as well, but it was just a couple of places out. So
he would have gone back to back too, wouldn't
he? Yeah, it would have been back to back. I thought he might have. If I was him, I would have been playing with Langer's head the night before. I would have probably turned up with a couple of beers and stitched him up. But obviously, he's too nice a guy for it. He didn't do any of that. Just going back through the questions, I might give a prize away here. Now we're talking about spoons. Any of the questions stood out for you guys?
I did see one about the Tatchler 300. I think asking the spool size from memory.
Yeah, I'll find that question because I like that one. So I will go back through whoever asked that question. I will find you later on because with the dropout, I've lost a lot of the questions as well. So
mine only goes back a little way.
Yeah. So I'll find that question. Whoever asked the question about the spool size.
Oh, here we go. Scott Gullick.
Scott Gullick. So. Yeah. I'll write that there. Scott, if you can send me your details, I will send you out a prize, which I haven't even dug them out yet. I'll give you, I'll find out where you're fishing and we'll give you something for the area where you're fishing. So that'll be good. Let's
see. Dale's putting 60 grand worth of fish into Somerset this year, which will be another awesome year of stocking by them. So
that's huge.
That's awesome, eh? He does they do a great job, the stocking groups up in Queensland.
Yeah, no, they do, and all of them do, and and have been doing them for years. So I think Dale told us last week that they were actually putting some cod into Wivenhoe, I think it was. So
really, that's cool.
Just Dale, if that's correct, and you're on, give us. You said to me last week about doing something at Wivenhoe. I can't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was cod. So get on to that. Peter Phelps, give me a kegger out of the river over 2 kilo Somerset any day. Well, I mean, I'd take either. I don't care. Here we go. Questions are popping in now. Yeah, Pete, look, to be honest, how's the lockdown treating me? Well, it's not treating me well. I mean, I still can go fishing officially, but I can't fish in New South Wales waters. But it's really hard, homeschooling Harry and everything else. It's just been difficult to sort of get out on the water and mental health issues. I'm going to have to start claiming them very soon and just take a couple of days off and go fishing somewhere. You're not allowed to camp anywhere, but with the motorhome, and I'm sure they're not going to catch me. So we'll be right.
I just saw, I was actually going to say, I heard a rumour a few years ago about jungle perch being stocked.
Yeah.
And I've just seen Jordan said they're going into Wivenhoe.
Yeah, that was one of the things. And Dale said,
really? That's crazy.
It was about 5 or 6 years ago I first heard it. They were going to put them in North Pine.
Yeah,
actually, I remember hearing something like that too. Actually, in North Pine. Yeah, now that you mentioned North Pine,
yeah,
crazy.
I don't know where it ended up going, but if they're putting them in,
yes. Dale has answered there, and he said we've put $5,000 out of our own money of cod, not out of the SIPS fund. So that's really cool.
That makes me want to move back to Queensland now and fish Wivenhoe.
They'll take off a couple of years. Junglie's in Wivenhoe. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
They'd get massive in a dam too.
Yeah, I reckon they would too. Have they ever been put into a dam properly?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, no.
There you go. Dale said JP should be available for us next year. That is really cool.
That's awesome, Dale. Well done.
And the SIPS money was down, so that's even better. So that's awesome. Oh, Johnny, there you go. Johnny Sancio's on. He's Somerset fished well. Of course it did. We'll bring this up because the young fella won it. So just went out and outlaid and put a new V8 4-stroke, I believe, on the back of his boat, and got out there and proved his worth. So well done, Johnny. I've always said your name wrong. I'm not 100% sure whether it's Sancio, Sancio. Everyone calls you something. We'll just call you Johnny Boy. So well done, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's
well done,
good,
Johnny.
especially from last year being bridesmaid, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he?
Oh, look, I think he's been bridesmaids in a lot of comps. You know, he was always up and about in the Bastastics up there and always second. So, you know, it's good to see him break out and win one. Someone other than Langers is good. I didn't say that out loud, did I?
No.
Let's see if we've got many questions left.
Dale needs to tell me what a long-nosed racing bass is.
All right. Dale, if you can let us know what a long-nosed racing bass is. There we go. I can't even see that question anymore. I've lost a lot of my questions. Hey, let me just, while we're waiting for a last couple of questions, I'm going to go really pro here, gentlemen, and I'm going to bring this up, see if this works for me.
It's up there.
It's up there, and let's play the Diawa ad for everyone. Let's see if this works. Well, we're waiting for the last couple of questions to come through. Have a look at the Diawa ad.
Oh, it's working.
How cool was that? That actually worked.
Yeah,
Professional
that's a good bit of
producer, mate.
Yeah, Corey, you're killing it.
Killing it tonight. I've lost feed. I've lost everything else, but I got that going. There we go. We got that. That's a really cool ad. We've got Dale Sinclair's on there. He's answering all their questions. He said three keggers will be out there very soon, and ABT will include them in their tournaments. Morgo has confirmed that.
Getting the scoop here on
That would be very,
Doing the
very,
fact.
very cool.
getting the ABT scoops.
ABT scoots were even released before the ABT lockdown lives. Don't forget, if you are into your bass fishing, jump on the ABT YouTube page. They do a lockdown live series as well. Fish On's got a question here. Talking about lockdown, I've heard rumours Victorians are allowed to fish the Murray River from the bank. Do you know if it's true? I believe it's not true. What I've been told is you need a permit to fish New South Wales waters, and you can't get a permit to go fishing. So it's a catch-22 situation. You can have a permit to cross the border, which means you can jump in your boat and go across the thingo. But the whole fishing scenario is a very touchy one at the moment. So I would say just don't do it for now, mate, until it's been clarified. So don't want anyone to get a fine.
What's the usual thing? If you have to ask the question, it's probably better to play it safe.
Yeah, and look for us Victorians, as long as us regional Victorians, as long as the lockdown stays at stage 3, I'm pretty sure that we've got September 1 trout season opens back up, so there'll be a lot of guys that'll be able to do some trout fishing and open up for that sort of thing. So
because you're only allowed to be in your local area, right? You can't kind of travel out.
Yeah, grey area. It says to your closest waterway. So my closest waterway is actually the Murray River, but that's out. So I've got to class it as Hume. I'd love to shoot down to Eildon, do the hour and a half trip down to Eildon and go fishing for cod down there. But once again, I'm trying to stay within the rules with everything I do for now. Dale Sinclair answered. He's talking a long-nose racing bass is a marlin.
This is equals marlin. Then he definitely needs probably a couple of bonds lures, I would say there, Dale.
There you go. That's the goss for that one. So we've got a couple of late questions coming in. We've been on for that long. All right, so well over an hour, which is always good. So postcode winner tonight was Paul Langley. The prize winner for the question was Scott Gullick. The early winner was Riley Weiss for the Lure Pack, and don't forget to nominate some people for the Gangster Lure Pack as well. That'll be announced next week. So I need more reels, though. Look, you're not going to get reels out of me at this point in time, but everyone needs more reels. I can tell you that. I think I've got 25 rods hanging in the ceiling of the shed at the moment, and don't use any of them. They're not the ones in the boat.
You need a new lever drag, so I'll tell you there, Dale, I think.
There you go. So, give him the drum. What do you want to tell him?
Just probably the new 60 speed or new 60 size 2-speed lever drags would be perfect for the Southeast Queensland marlin run that we get up there. Obviously we don't get the Great Barrier Reef sized fish, so you don't need anything too hectic. So little overhead, 15 to 24 kilo rod. Happy days.
There you go. Paul Langley's. Thanks for that, Tom. Paul Langley said put his prize into the pay it forward, which I will do, mate.
Good on you, Paul.
Thank you very much for that donation. Don't forget, you can still donate to the Pay It Forward. I have got a small tackle shop full of things. I was adding them up the other day. There's well over $2,500 worth of lures alone without rods and reels that people have donated. I've got a heap of stuff coming from Queensland. 40's picked that all up for me. So when the borders are open, 40 and I'm going to catch up at Glenbourne, and he's going to hand all that stuff over for me as well. So, look, I'm not asking for hard luck cases in overly general, but if you know somebody that really is deserving of a prize pack, they might have donated their time to the bushfires. They might have, whatever it is. Give us a couple of good stories to give these prizes to. It doesn't have to be, they've got no money and can't go fishing. They might be the local volunteer for the Red Cross. It doesn't matter. Just start nominating some people for these prizes. So, listen, guys, I won't hold you up any longer. Awesome to have you on again. We will do it. Obviously, in the future, I'll continue recycling guests as well, because it's always good to touch back on and find out and talk about stuff that we didn't cover last time. Thank you guys for both being on.
That's all right. Thanks for having us, Corey.
Anytime.
Enjoyed it.
It's always enjoyable. Look, I'm really looking forward to catching up once the borders do open back up. But yeah, Braden, as soon as we can get you down here fishing for some cod. It might even be easier to just sort of meet up at Blowering or something like that, which is obviously not a bad drive for you guys. So we shall do that. But for everyone else, thanks for getting on and watching again. Any last questions? Peter Wright wants to know sold or fresh tomorrow. What would you be doing?
I'd go to sold. Only because it's 2 minutes from my house.
Yeah, there you go. The easy one. Thanks, everyone. Chewin' the Fat is done for tonight. Thank you all, and we shall see you again next Monday night at 8 p.m.
Thanks, everyone.